school. Uh, and so that's who we are. I'm sure we're going to dive into it a little bit more through the questions, but that's who I am.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ryan Battaglia. I am actually the recruitment manager here at California Department of Public Health. We are one of the largest publicly accredited public health organizations and one of the largest ones in California and the nation across the board. So I actually manage the recruitment team here and here to answer any questions you have with respect to CDPH and how to get a state job.
Hi, everyone. My name is Hagar Azab. I'm a primary healthcare consultant working with the World Health Organization, the headquarters office. A lot of my experience has been regional, recently moved to headquarters, and I work with the team responsible for developing tools to monitor and evaluate the performance of primary care and globally, so across countries as well as regions. Nice to meet you all.
Awesome. Thank you guys all for introducing yourselves. The first question I have for you all is, what part of your undergraduate experience do you feel helped prepare you for your career? And we'll start with you, Hagar, and then pass it back on to Ryan, and then end with you, Julie.
Thank you so much, Sarah. So I actually did my master's at USC. My undergrad, I had kind of an interesting experience with my undergrad where I didn't do anything health related. I wanted to major in something that was interesting to me. But I did know that career-wise, I wanted to end up in the health field. So I chose a major in undergrad that was totally unrelated. And then decided to do the MPH route because I knew I didn't want to be a clinician, but I still wanted to be in the health space. And I would say that my experience during my master's of public health at USC, networking was a huge factor in directing me towards my career. A lot of the stuff that we learned in our classes and through the experiences of our professors who were already very much actively in the field prepared us, or I mean, I saw kind of hands-on once I joined the workforce myself. And there was a lot of support in terms of joining the international community, which is what I had my sights set on to begin with.
Yeah, so I actually did not go to college, believe it or not. I am on the recruitment team, so therefore I do not actually need a college degree. However, I can say with most of you here specialize in the healthcare field or health administration in general, I do recommend a lot of the positions we do have with CDPH, and that can be anywhere between 100 to 140 positions at any given time. We specialize in more or less from the bachelor's and upside. So we do recommend possibly getting into, MPH, public health related, health administration, hospital administration, comprehensive health planning. There is a variety of health fields that we do focus on. We have over 200 programs within CDPH. So the great thing is there is a program that is related to what you're going to school for. And it's just a matter of finding opportunities and identifying opportunities that would fit kind of what you're looking for. We have great internship programs as well, which I can definitely talk about more down the road as well.
Hi, and just sharing a little bit about my field. So I am a behavior analyst by trade. So I'm a board certified behavior analyst. As an undergrad, I got started in the field by doing some field work in psychology courses in behavior analysis. So being able to work with kids, also taking classes in special education and being able to work with kids, a neurodiverse group of children in the classroom was also a fantastic experience. And there are so many ABA companies in the Los Angeles area that are hiring behavior technicians and will train you. The minimum requirement for a registered behavior technician position is a high school diploma. So you're already ahead of the game being Trojans there at USC. Dare I say my undergrad was at UCLA, so I hope you all don't kick me off the Zoom. But that you're already ahead of the game. So you would be coming to an ABA agency like ours with, already in school, headed towards your bachelor's. I also have my master's, which you would need to become a board certified behavior analyst. But really just getting out there, as Hagar said, networking, getting experience with children. I know we've hired a lot of staff that are phenomenal technicians when we train them because they've had nanny experience and babysitting experience and things like that. And that's just super helpful because we work with such a diverse group of kids. So I would say that that would be great to get involved with as an undergrad.
Thank you guys for all answering that first question. Our next question kind of follows or piggybacks off of that. You each talked about like the networking experience and how valuable that is into your industries. So what advice would you give undergraduate students and any tips that you would offer to help them learn how to network and use that to their advantage? We'll start with you, Julie, and then pass it on to Hagar, and then back to you, Ryan.
Sure. I can tell you from personal experience, I struggled with networking early on because it felt awkward. And I always felt like, what do I have to offer to this other person? I think just a lot of that insecurity. And I think I'll stick with the Nike ad. You just got to do it. Like you'll get better at it. The more you do it, you just introduce yourself, be curious, ask the other person questions. And I think the more you do it, the easier it gets. At least that's been my experience. But networking is key. I'll tell you, my daughter, when she was in high school, her cross country coach told her, look, you're headed to college. My best advice is network. Like get to know your professors, because you never know, even classmates, and figuring out what are their interests, where are they headed in their careers, because you just never know as your career develops where everyone ends up and how, like, it's a very small world. It's a large world, but it's a small world. So even your classmates, it's important to just keep those connections. Get onto LinkedIn, even as a student, set up your profile about what your interests are. And even Instagram, you might even want to have like your own professional Instagram and networking. But I would say just do it. It gets easier the more you do it. Don't be shy. We've all been there. And people are really willing to help. There's a lot of professionals that would love to mentor and love to kind of just help you get started on your journey in whatever field it is. And also professional organizations. So even as a student, you can join some organizations that have, mentorship levels built into it. So I know in our field of applied behavior analysis and working with kids with autism, there's the California Association. I'm involved in a Latino Association of Behavior Analysts. There's a Women's Association. So there's a lot of groups that can help support you on your path. So just do it is my my suggestion.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. And I would definitely echo that. It can be very uncomfortable in the beginning, and especially because when you're kind of asking for that sort of support in a position to not give anything in return. But I think a lot of people who are in a position to mentor, actually pretty much everyone who is in a position to mentor was once in that same position seeking support. So most people are very eager and very willing to provide that type of support and to give you some type of direction. And it doesn't stop at undergrad until now. I'm 5-6 years into my career after graduating, and I'm still reaching out to people. I'm still expanding my network. I'm still, just, hey, so-and-so, I'm interested in whatever. Do you know anyone that I can just get some insights from? I've never been refused. Like I've never had anyone say, I don't. Typically, somebody always knows somebody. That's one thing that you should keep in mind. If that person doesn't have an answer, they will typically know somebody who does. And I've never been told like, oh, I don't have time to meet you for 20-30 minutes to just like give you some advice. And they don't even know me. I actually had a call yesterday with, someone that I'd never met before who was just willing to give me some insights about something that I was interested in. And my current work with WHO, you know, 5, 6 years in with an organization was based off just me going up to one of my professors in my MPH program and saying, hey, I want to do my practicum internationally, and I would prefer to be in these 2 countries. And she happened to know somebody in one of the countries that I was interested in the regional office that I ended up working for 5 years. So it kickstarted my entire career, just asking a simple question. And really, especially in the field, I mean, in public health specifically, I don't know if anyone on the call has interest in public health, but the community is so vast and international, and I mean, it's domestic, it's international, it's regional. You will, especially at USC, you will know somebody who knows somebody who can just give you information. That's one thing. Just try not to be shy about it. And like Julie said, just keep doing it, and it gets better, it gets more comfortable. The second thing I would say is keep an open mind. Don't limit yourself into where you think you would want to explore. Ask questions. Have an idea of what you want, but keep an open mind. But on the other side of the coin, don't be afraid to advocate for yourself. You know, if you really know that this is something that you're interested in or not interested in. The first internship I was offered with WHO was one that I was willing to take, but it was not in a program area that I was interested in whatsoever. And as grateful as I was for the opportunity, the person that I spoke to at the regional office at the time, I was just transparent with her. I was like, I know that I have a lot to learn from this experience, but this is not my area of interest. And she was like, well, what is your area of interest? And ended up, you know, directing me to someone else, to a different department within my exact area of interest. And that's where I ended up doing my internship and my practicum. So yeah, I mean, practice builds that confidence. Advocate for yourself, utilize the USC network. Oh, gosh, it is endless. It is endless. I mean, somebody who heard about this panel and wasn't able to attend messaged me on LinkedIn and asked if they could have 20 minutes of my time, just like, you know, outside of this. And absolutely happy to do that. So yeah, take advantage of this opportunity at USC. Not a lot of people have a network like this one.
No, 100% agree with both of you guys' statements. And I love that Just Do It analogy, not just because I love Nike in general, but that it's true. You really just got to put yourself out there from a networking side. Julie mentioned the weight point with respect to LinkedIn. LinkedIn is huge. That's something we utilize as recruiters every single day, whether it be special keywords, relationships. It's great. There's groups on LinkedIn that you can possibly join, spark up conversations. I mean, I've revisited or reached out to someone I haven't spoke to in 15 years, and we had coffee last week. And miraculously enough, they're actually in a similar field I am, working for another state department. So it's a very small world out there. Now, the kicker with respect to CDPH and state employment in general is we hire off. We have an equitable hiring process. So what that means is, from our standpoint, it doesn't matter about who you know. It's more so what you can explain on your application. And I can discuss that at a later time. I can put my email in here as well. And you guys are more than welcome to reach out to me to discuss that in more detail. But from the networking side, it's all about who you're going to know. It's going to feel uncomfortable first. It's going to be really uncomfortable at first. You're going to probably fall on your face a couple times, but just like with anything, that's kind of how you learn to ride a bike. You fall a couple times, get up and go do it again. So just don't be discouraged after that first failed attempt. Keep trying, and it'll eventually come together, and it'll eventually start to flow with some fluidity across the board. So that's my advice with respect to networking. I've been in recruitment for close to about 15 years, so I can personally vouch. It's all about who you know, and all about the relationships you build, just like with anything.
Thank you guys all for answering that. I think it's very clear to see that the networking experience is very integral to our whole, leaving undergrad and during the whole undergrad situation. So thank you for giving us your advice on that. The next question we have for you all is, what are the challenges and benefits of working in your industry? And this time we'll go ahead and start with you, Ryan, pass it back to Hagar, and then end with you, Julie.
Yeah, I'll start with the challenges first. The biggest challenges in our industry, just from a California perspective, is the equity aspect. There is a big disconnect across the board with respect to equity when it comes to healthcare, and that is something that we are driving at CDPH across the board. Another challenge would be, just to be honest, from the state employment side of things, would be obviously getting candidates. We are looking for a lot of people over the next year or so. We've got a lot of funding, and we've seen substantial growth over the past year. We have a lot of positions open, but we need candidates such as you all on this call to apply to those positions, much like Julie and Edgar themselves. So, with that being said, it's the challenges, the biggest challenges we're seeing across the board is really just making sure that we're able to address California's, issues as a whole, and address those moving forward as well. Um, Benefits. Now, the benefits are awesome. You work with some phenomenal people here at CDPH. You have some industry experts, people transferring from very reputable organizations to come to CDPH. So the knowledge, skill sets, and relationships you'll build here at CDPH are huge. Additionally, the benefits aspects, we have a very, very lucrative benefit plan across the board. Work-life balance is great. We work on a hybrid workforce, so we're in the office a couple days a week, and then work remotely for the rest of the time. Another great thing is the people. We are a very diverse organization, and we're continuing to push that across the board. I recently hired a diversity analyst here at CDPH. Was it back in August of last year? And we're looking to increase our diversity across the board, partnering with various organizations as well. But the big benefit is at the end of the day, you are really helping California improve public health across the board.
You made me interested in the CDPH. So, yeah, I would say I'll start with the challenges as well. I think one obvious one is that it can be a little bit difficult to break into the UN system without any prior experience. If you were to go on any of the UN organization websites right now and look at the job listings, most positions require a master's degree of a sort, usually an MPH, but of the sort, usually a lot of people have a background in medicine as well. I don't have a background in medicine, so the MPH is usually sufficient, and they require a few years of experience depending on the type of position and the area of work. So I think that is probably the challenge in getting into work with the UN. The kind of way around that as a recent graduate or is really through the internship programs and things like that. I mean, you won't get in that system just by knowing somebody, but if you have the years of experience and you have the qualifications, it does help to have already had some sort of experience or your name is exposed somewhere within their system at some level. Another way you would think about breaking into that system is getting NGO experience. International experience is really helpful. So if during your undergrad or if you wanted to pursue a master's, you did your practicum or internships abroad, that's also a pretty good plus when it comes to building your resume. And in that way, it's something that they definitely look for. For me, I was an internal hire after my internship, basically. The network that I made while I was an intern is what opened up that route for me, and it was right after graduation. It was like 6 months after I got graduated with my master's. So it can be a little bit difficult to get your foot in the door. And I've kind of walked through the process with a few people who were completely external to go through all of the different routes and so on. And it's a bit challenging and it can take some time. It requires patience if you're going through all of the different channels. You don't really have, internship UN experience or other NGO experience. So it requires patience, to be completely honest. I would say that that's the biggest challenge in terms of just getting into the industry itself. There's another challenge that I think is both a challenge and a benefit. Because it's an international community, the program areas and the different types of work you can do option-wise are like endless. The skills are super transferable, so it can actually be kind of difficult to figure out where you want to place yourself if you don't have a clear idea of where that is. And that makes it harder to secure positions because a lot of the openings are very are specialists or require specific expertise in specific program areas, and those are the things that get picked up. Those are the people that get picked up quickly. So if you kind of aren't sure by the time you're entering the professional world, it also makes it a little bit more challenging. But I think prior to that, the fact that there are so many options is wonderful, because you have a lot of different things to explore, a lot of different skill sets that you can apply. So it doesn't take like a specific standard type of person with a specific standard type of skill set. I've worked with people from all different kinds of backgrounds and all different kinds of strong suits when it comes to skill sets. The other thing that I actually enjoy most is being a part of that international community. I've had the opportunity to work with people from 20, 30, maybe countries in the last 5 years. You get to experience what your program area or your specialty even means in different places for different people. Specifically, I work in monitoring and evaluation. It's reapplication and re-implementation depending on different contexts. So there's a lot of exposure. I'm constantly learning. There's a lot of stimulation. But, like I said, it's a balance between keeping yourself open and not getting stuck in tunnel vision, and allowing yourself to have kind of room to grow and explore, but also sort of finding a niche, something that makes you unique and something that you can provide expertise on, I would say.
And then for the field of ABA, starting as a behavior technician, I would say, and I'll kind of say what it's like when you start and kind of how the challenges evolve as you move through the industry and potentially become a board certified behavior analyst. Early on, the challenges are different because you are driving to school sites, you're driving to homes. Organizations like mine try to be mindful of the distance that you're driving. If any of you live in LA, traffic can be quite the challenge. And so that's something that can be challenging all by itself. The other challenge would be the profile of the child that maybe you're working with, right? So even though you have training, you're coming in with all of these supports, some children may display challenging behaviors like aggression or elopement. And for elopement, we mean like running away, running from the classroom or running from the home, and wanting to make sure everyone's staying safe, right? So if there is any physical aggression, that you are trained to keep everyone safe. But that in itself can be a challenge. So if you're not prepared for that, or you feel like that's gonna be upsetting, this field may be hard for you, because you may walk in and assist a child who has self-injurious behavior, right? So some of those things are very hard to see, but on the flip side, when treatment actually works and you can see